Welcome to the next episode of Trending in T.I.Studios. Today we're doing something a little bit different, guys, here. Remember, as always, to like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below with your thoughts. But today we're going to do something a little bit different than usual. We are going to try to figure out who's dying on October 23rd, 2016 on AMC, The Walking Dead. So, we look over here just a little bit here and there, guys. Checking out my notes that I've taken for this episode involving everything that tries to get me down to exactly who I decided. And actually, here's the cool thing. I do have it narrowed down to 2 right now, and I haven't decided exactly who yet. And by the time I'm done talking, you will hear my prediction and exactly why it's one of those 2. And I think it might surprise you on who those 2 are. I think most people believe it's Daryl and Glenn. I am not 100% on those 2. So here you go. First of all, what I keep hearing right now about Glenn is that he is the one that died in the comics right here in this moment. And while that is true, there are some factors that you'll see why maybe it's not Glenn for that. But my point is about the comics is I'm going to show you how much The Walking Dead has gone away from the comics. So we're going to start off with 7 of the 14 people that I consider main enough to count here. So 14 deaths. 7 of those deaths that have happened on the show so far have been people not in the comics. That doesn't bode well for Daryl right there. So, alright. That's step number 1. Now, there's also been some characters that were in the comics that didn't die anywhere near the way they died. Let's take Bob Stuckey to start with. In the comics, he dies of a heart attack from basically he didn't keep himself in good health, and he died himself. He died of a heart attack while doing his last act. He knew it was his last act. Was saving Lily Cole from a swarm of walkers. So that's pretty huge. Andrea, in the comics, is completely alive. But she's dead on the show, as we know. And she died by suicide after being bit by an alien walker. That's actually Carol. Right now, Carol is alive. And but Carol in the comics, she died of the same thing, but it was basically suicide. When Carol died, she basically killed herself. So, it was bit by a zombie, but she didn't know, she intentionally did it. She wanted to die. So, anyhow, let's look at a few more things, guys. Shane Walsh in the comics was killed by Carl, and Rick killed the reanimation version of Shane. Sophia, remember the young girl, Carol's daughter? She's alive in the comics still. Completely alive, not dead. Not dead at all. Tyrese, he's the one in the comics that he is captive, he gets his head cut off, all that stuff. With Michonne's katana. But in the show, it was Herschel. Herschel was actually shot in the head by the governor. It was basically suicide, overcome by grief of the death of his last son, Billy. Well, none of his sons were at the prison. So, that just shows you that's not very accurate either, you know what I'm saying? So, alright. The people not in the comics that have died so far, guys. Beth Green, Jackie, Milton, Dale, T-Dog, Merle, and Noah. Now, Lori Grimes, who I know a lot of people don't like, and I'm going to make I'm make a video just about Andrea and Lori, and kind of go off a little bit on the people that don't like those 2 characters, and I'll get into detail why. But right now, that's not the topic. Lori Grimes, she's shot in the back, which kills her and Judith, and Carl and Rick are forced to leave their bodies there. She was shot in the back by Lily Cole, who you heard me talk earlier about, who's not been on the show yet. She was under the control of the governor at the time, and she just She was just following orders. But Judith dies right there as well. And Judith, as we know, has been on every season since she was born. So 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's not very accurate. All right. See who else I can pull up here. T-Dog, like I said, is on the comics. Andrea, yeah, I've already been over that. So there you go. That just shows you how much they're not following the comics. The comics are not a rule book. In fact, I'd say, if anything, the rule book of the TV show to the comics is, if it happened in the comics, that's not how it's happening. There's somebody may say that Amy should be on this list. If you go by Amy, she is the only character that I can say genuinely they went by what happened. Amy in the comics died pretty similar to how she died on the show. So that was what it was. And Andrea was the one to put it down. So, all right. Now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty, folks. Okay. And that was intentional redneck talk, by the way. All right. Going in Glenn's favor. They have typically not followed the comics. There you go. Going against Glenn. Evidence is strong that it's not Daryl. Also, in the first trailer, it appears Maggie is closest to the possible second blow. Although the second blow may not be a second blow. It may just be re-showing the first blow at a different angle. But in the comics, this is where he died, and this is who killed him. Negan. Well, again, while that is it's a pro and a con, because in the comics this is how he died. It's like, you know, maybe they decided to follow against the comics right now. But it's also a pro because they haven't followed the comics very often. This would kind of be a new direction if they decide to follow the comics here. So, kind of has me torn there. Going against Daryl for the most recent trailer, it definitely hints that it's him with the jacket, the motorcycle. But, and going against him is people in the comics, people not in the comics have died 50% of the time so far. So that's not good for Daryl. But here's the good news for Daryl fans. The very first trailer that came out, if you watch it closely and you pause it at the right time, at 1:36, you know, 1 second's longer than people think when you're watching it in a video. If you pause it at the right exact moment, you will see Maggie is closest to the person getting hit, which leads credence to it's Glenn. But also, more importantly, next to Maggie, you can see a shadow, an outline. Don't say a shadow, an outline of somebody. Well, why does that matter? It's just an outline. You don't see the person. Right. What you do see, and this is where I think they might have messed up. This is the biggest thing in the whole thing. The hair. And the only one with that length of hair and style of hair is Daryl. Rick's hair's not that long right now. Maggie, the person with, you know, that you can say is kind of close to it. Well, you already see her. She's the one in the shot. That's clear. That's not a shadow. That's not an outline. So therefore, I'm going to say Daryl is safe because he's sitting right next to Glenn. There's your boom surprise, guys. It's not Daryl. Now, before I saw this, I was already saying it wasn't Daryl for this reason. They're not going to make you really believe it's Daryl to incite people more, because there was already like, if it's Daryl, we riot. Which Norman Reedus playfully joined in on that. But, you know, they would not play into that and make people more upset that Daryl's going to die if that was the case. And then they already know people are hooked. We don't need to make this a big, you know, any bigger than it already is. So, therefore, I am ruling out Daryl completely. It is not Daryl. It is not Daryl. I will come back and make another video and eat my words and admit I was completely wrong if it is Daryl. So, but I think the chance that it's Daryl is under 5%, folks. So, Daryl fans, don't worry, Daryl's still going to be here. All right. Now, what's going for Abraham? Because I want to clarify, guys, it could only be these three characters with the exception of Maggie, but being you see a person get hit and Maggie's there, she's fine. It's not Maggie. And here's why. Before I even get to Abraham, I've done some looking, and only 4 characters of the good guys and Negan have filmed 2 episodes. Everybody else has filmed at least 5. Rick Grimes has filmed them all. Now, again, I think others have filmed more, but they know. So they're not letting IMDb give it away. They know who people believe are dying here. So, who's officially safe? Michonne is safe. Rick is safe. Carl Grimes is safe. Carol is safe. Sasha is safe. Morgan Jones is safe, and Eugene Porter is safe. They've all filmed 5 episodes, guys. So that leaves them clear. So now that we know Maggie's not getting hit, because if it's the first hit, this is still not her being hit. So, and if it's the second hit, it's still not her being hit. There's no blood on her. So, now we know it's 3 people. Daryl, who I just told you, I said no. Glenn. And Abraham. All right, so what does Abraham have going for him? Well, like I said, going for Abraham's death already happened in the comics. Actually, the way Denise died and how she died, on the show, Denise died that way, and in the comics, Abraham died that way, not Denise. It was Abraham that got shot in the back of the head through the eye. Boom, down goes Abraham. It was the same thing. He finished his sentence before he fell down and died. So there you go. And the kill was by Dwight, ordered by Negan. Okay. So, since Glenn and Daryl have been around since the start, they're easily the most popular. So, if they wanted to hit the audience emotionally, they could do Abraham's death right, because you got Rosita and you have Sasha now, and the rest of them, but those two particularly are going to be very emotional, and they could really draw a lot of emotion from everybody in the group of all the big things that Abraham has done. You remember when he saved the town of Alexandria, like when they were on the outside, not the town, but he saved all those workers. I mean, he went crazy. He beat some ass. So, therefore, he is very important to Rick, but he's also, this is what really hurts Abraham, he's the most expendable. Meaning they could get a lot out of this death without having to kill Glenn or Daryl. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to kill Glenn or Daryl, and they could still draw the emotion out of the group and out of you, the viewer, because he's still a very popular character. So that hurts Abraham. Now we'll go over just a couple of things here. In the comics, Glenn survives the first hit by Negan. It takes out his eye, it breaks his jaw and his teeth. And he calls for Maggie. And then he gets hit again. And boom, that's the death blow. Down goes Glenn. Which could be why in the trailer it appears that Negan is swinging Lucille for a possible second time. Ezekiel, which is in season 7. So that kind of ties into a lot of cool things. And a lot of people were curious if they would ever do him. Ezekiel's here this season. That's pretty awesome. So that's really all the information I think I have. I'm just letting my notes one last time, guys. Yeah, I think I'm done looking over there. I think I have my information in my head now enough to say that I'm going to say that the person, now it's only, let's clarify, I'm down to it being Abraham and Glenn. Abraham and Glenn. It can't be anybody else besides Daryl. Daryl's the only other one. It can't be anybody else. So, because of how many episodes they filmed. So that removes certain people. It removes most people. So, I am going to say that the person that dies here has the highest probability of dying is going to be Glenn. I thought I was going to say Abraham. I thought I was going to say Abraham, but I went with Glenn. I think this is one time where they're going to follow the comics. You're going to have that emotional moment where he hits Glenn. My favorite character, by the way. Daryl, number 2, right? I mean, it's like Glenn and Daryl, just like, it's like that. That's a close to death. But Glenn getting hit, and then you're going to hear everything breaking, and you're going to hear him say, "Mother," like that, because he doesn't have teeth, folks, and he's hurt. And then, after that happens, Maggie's going to scream, and the second blow is going to come, and it's going to kill him. That's my prediction on what happens. But I would say the likely chances of it being Glenn is 60%. I'm going to drop it down, 50%. Because it's so close, it could be Abraham. So I'm going to say 50% is Glenn, 40% is Abraham, and still the 10% that it's Daryl. So, but Daryl fans, I am 90%, just so my 10%. So I'm 90% positive it's not Daryl. Like I said, he is too popular. The whole you kill Daryl, we riot. That ain't gonna stop. If they were wanting to kill him or he wanted to go do other shows, though he says he's happy here and he'll riot too. And the number one reason is, like I said, if you pause at 136 of that video, folks, of the first trailer, I am near positive that's Daryl next to Maggie. So, I have to say, Glenn, I think it's going to be you, unfortunately, who is my favorite character. If it is Glenn, I'll do a video just about it. Stay tuned for my recaps on season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You're like, well, why are you just not getting into the game as far as The Walking Dead? Why are you just not doing videos? This season's been going on for a long time. YouTube's been going on for a long time. Well, one, guys, I'm still fairly new. I'm still pretty damn new to YouTube. But the bigger reason here that it is very simple. I actually just binge watched the entire show this week. Yeah, it mixed between both weeks. So I'm caught up now. I know what happens, and wow, it's going to be fun to watch. October 23rd, 2016, AMC. I'm not sponsored by them, folks, so I'm just telling you, make sure you check it out. I didn't think I liked the show. It's not really my genre. I mean, honestly, I'm not the biggest zombie fan. Though I love The Last of Us. If you've ever heard of that game, I love that game. I still think The Last of Us has the best zombie story ever told. That said, I can tell a little bit of things that they borrowed from The Walking Dead, a little bit. And number 2, so far it's just a video game. So Walking Dead is a lot more in depth in the end because it's a lot longer. But I think if you just want to sum it all up, The Last of Us has the best story told in any kind of zombie world. But again, that's not my genre. I didn't think I'd enjoy it. Didn't think I would like it. And I in fact, I'll say I love the show. The Walking Dead is a damn good show. I'm glad I decided to actually give it a chance. Really not sure why, but I did. And I look forward to your comments down below. Tell me who you think dies. Why? What are your reasons? Give me some of your evidence. on what you think happened and why you believe it happened. Remember, as always, to like, share, and subscribe as well. I appreciate you watching this video, guys. This is Ben. See you next time right here on Trending Interactive Studios. Take it easy. Peace.
You may now subscribe.